second topic. Was that Gamebird?
That was me.
Oh, my memory.
The one and only.
What are we talking about?
All right. So we've got some big changes coming to NSO. A couple. Good changes? No. Bad changes?
Good
I think
changes.
so.
No.
So Nintendo has announced that effective March 24th of this year, around 9:30 p.m., give or take, the NSO rewards program known as Gold Points will be coming to an end. And this is like, right off there's more to this topic, but this is a huge bummer. I'm just going to say it. The rewards points, when you make a purchase on the eShop, you get gold points back. And it's basically cash back to put towards your next purchases on the eShop. It's rad. I mostly buy physical, but obviously there is a ton of indie games that don't come out with physical editions. I mostly do purchases digitally for those indies, and I stash up the points. And then, sometimes I got $15 sitting on my eShop account. But anyways, that one's coming to an end. So any games that you purchase after that, digitally or physically, are not going to reward you with any gold points. However, that is not the only change that's coming to the NSO. The other one is vouchers. Specifically, the reward vouchers where you buy 2 games and you basically get $10 off each game. Really cool reward for digital purchases. This one doesn't specifically affect me since I mostly buy physical, but still, this is a big loss. And if I understand correctly, this doesn't pertain to Switch 1. This is specifically for Switch 2. Is that correct, Nate?
Yep, it's on screen. Yep. The vouchers are staying with 1. They will not apply to Switch 2.
So, big news. Huge bummer, because these are both great little reward incentives for being a Switch Online subscriber, especially if you don't really use their NSO services as far as the Super Nintendo games, NES games, Game Boy, etc., or you don't do much online gaming, and you get to collect these little, rewards. So my question for you guys is, how do you feel about this change? And more importantly, we already know where Nate kind of stands, but I do want to hear more of his thoughts fleshed out. How do you think this affects Switch 2? Because we already know these won't be there. Is there a replacement? Is Nintendo just doing away with them? I want to know your thoughts. Let's start with Nate, because he already had a pretty strong opinion early on.
So here's the deal. Obviously, I don't know what Nintendo is going to do. None of us do, unless one of you are hiding that you're a secret Nintendo employee or you have an uncle there. As far as I'm aware, that's nobody on this show. But then again, John Nebo is celebrating a Super Bowl victory this year. So, maybe he knows someone on the staff that knows someone that knows someone. And next thing you know, he's connected to Doug Bowser.
I do know where Jalen Hurts lives. That sounded really creepy, but I do know where he lives.
I'll tell you right now, I officially do not know where any major athlete lives, and I don't want to know. That being said, unless they invite me to a house party, then I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Don't ask me how I know, but
yeah, I don't want to know how you know. Little damn, someone's been doing some Google image searches and out in the satellites. That being said, so my thoughts are generally this. One, this really sucks. I don't think, at least at the moment, I don't think there's any way to spin this as a positive. They're removing features from NSO, one feature in particular, and then the other one just doesn't apply to Switch 2. This is nothing but bad news. Because these are things that are part of NSO. They're part of your subscription. And it was a really nice cashback rewards program. And a lot of places have this. All your stores have it with their credit cards. Technically, Xbox has it, but it's really bad. It's so bad that no one ever talks about it because you got to spend so much money to even get $1. I don't even know why they bother. No, literally nobody is subscribed to Xbox Game Pass, guys, for your cashback rewards program of like 0.5% or whatever. It's really bad. It's not good. I've spent enough on their. I bought like 2 games in their digital eShop, and I was told if I spend another $120, I'll finally have $1.25 to spend. I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is bad. Nobody cares. Xbox, don't even tell me. It's an insult to tell me that I'm almost to $1.25 after spending a couple $100. Anyways, so so let's just start there. It's bad news. We could try to spin it to good, but spinning it to good requires making assumptions of something happening. And those assumptions are that Nintendo will replace these programs on Switch 2 with something new that also is like a cashback rewards program. Or, like the current vouchers won't apply because they're going to have new vouchers. And the new vouchers are going to be $120 because games are going to jump to $70. So you're still going to save $10 per. But obviously the current vouchers are 100. So of course those ones wouldn't apply. Sure. These are all possibilities. But I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I think Nintendo is just doing away with these programs entirely. And I'm going to go a step further. The reason the vouchers aren't going to go away yet for Switch 1 is because why would they? The Switch 1 game prices are coming down. Someone's going to buy those vouchers a year from now, and none of the Nintendo games are going to be $60. They're all going to be $50 or less. So you're actually not saving any money. You might be actually spending more. So why would Nintendo get rid of a voucher program that for Switch 1 that could ultimately end up kind of screwing people over if they still keep buying it thinking it's a good deal a year from now? I'm talking about a year from now, not right now. There's still going to be like Legends EA and Metroid Prime 4 will probably be part of the voucher program digitally. So like there's still a reason to buy a voucher right now. And that's because most first-party Nintendo games are part of the system. That being said, I remind myself of the fact that Nintendo is a for-profit company, and they make a lot of anti-consumer decisions at times. And as do all for-profit companies, because they're all trying to maximize their profits and their margins. This cashback program is something Nintendo has never done before. Sure, they had the Club Nintendo. That wasn't a cashback program. Okay, that was a rewards program. And they still have that reward. You still get platinum points. They're not getting rid of platinum points. Now, there's very few physical items you can ever get with platinum points. It's mostly avatars and digital stuff. But that program's still going to exist. They're not getting rid of it. They actually clarify that we're not getting rid of platinum points. You can still earn platinum points. You can still use it on NSO, still use it on Switch 2, all that. Great. I think that the one generation Nintendo offered multiple, like the cashback program and then the digital savings program was a little bit sneaky. So the cashback program has been part of NSO from the very beginning. NSO is Nintendo's first ever subscription service. Okay. They've never had one before. Also, Nintendo was entering a generation coming off their worst ever generation. Wii U, 3DS combined, worst generation Nintendo's ever had. Okay. They were in the red, crying out loud, for like at least one of the years for sure. And there was another year that it was either in the red or like just above. Not a good year for a business. You never want to be just above. So Nintendo was coming off their worst gen. So they needed to do things to convince consumers like crazy. Like, hey, you need to buy our system. You need to get into our new subscription service. You need to do this and do that. So we're going to do a cashback program to try to convince people to get NSO, because we think that we will make more money off of NSO than you're going to get back in your savings, right? Fine. That was probably true back in 2018. The voucher program came much later. And the voucher program, despite it being really good for consumers, also sort of has this sneaky undertone of pushing digital sales. Hey, why buy the physical game? Why buy physical Tears of the Kingdom day one for $70 and Pikmin 4 day one physically for $60 when you can buy a voucher and save $30 and get both those games for cheaper? It's kind of a sneaky program to push digital sales, which make Nintendo better margins. That being said, it doesn't look like the voucher program worked to increase digital sales. It's still roughly 50-50 at Nintendo. It didn't really change all that much. So since it's not changing all that much, Nintendo probably feels like there's no reason to keep offering discounts and make less money digitally because it didn't change much. The cashback program, well, here's the thing. The last few years, if you look at Nintendo's financials, their NSO subscriber count has just sat there at 34 mil. They can't seem to get it to go higher, which means whatever they're doing currently with NSO is not convincing more people to subscribe. That would include things like a cashback program is not convincing people to subscribe to NSO. It is not a sales point for them. Now, there is cashback on physical. Some physical games, you get 1%. And to correct something Gamer Classic said, any physical game that releases after March 24th, those don't count for the program. But if you bought like Xenoblade Chronicles X on March 19th, 2025, and that day registered it, you would get your 1% points for that. That's like the last game Nintendo has coming out before that cutoff date. So anyway, it's just one game to worry about. They're letting you redeem it still for a year after release. So like Echoes of Wisdom, you'll still be able, if you buy a physical copy, like, you know, in May, you can still get your 1% back on physical for that. But digital cuts off right away. That just straight up cuts off right away. So my stance is that Nintendo is just, they're in a different position. They're living in a different world. They're on top of the world. 150 million units, nearly 1.4 billion software sales. Why offer consumers a chance to save money when we could just make more by not giving them discounts? And I know some people will argue they bought more games because of it. I'm not arguing anyone's individual situation. I bought some indie games I would have never bought because of gold points. That's awesome. But Nintendo only makes 30% of those indie game sales. So when you bought that $10 game, Nintendo made $3, right? Versus selling their own games. You might have, that $3 you got was basically what they gave you for buying a $60 game. They could just keep those $3 and not give you that discount. And they make the same money. Now, Nintendo's got a lot of when we talk about the monetary situations at Nintendo, they have a lot of accountants behind this stuff that crunch the numbers and tell Nintendo if it's worth keeping programs around, or if we would basically, if these people didn't use these points, would we basically make the same money? And they probably crunched the numbers and it looked like, yeah, we basically make the same money. So why are we offering this? In fact, maybe we're losing a little money that we wouldn't lose otherwise, especially when, you know, some games are going up in price. So I feel like Nintendo's just, we're the market leader. We're more popular than ever. We're selling games like crazy. We're about to launch a new platform. We're not going to offer this on the new platform because the bottom line is we don't need to. We're going to sell 19 to 24 million units without these programs. We're going to sell 100, 200, 300 million games year one without these programs. We don't, well, I shouldn't say 100, 200, 300. That's a little crazy. That'd be an insane attach ratio of video games in year one. But my point is they're going to sell a lot of copies of a lot of stuff. And they want to maximize the money. Nintendo's no longer trying to convince consumers to like buy into their platform and buy their games. That was this generation. That was Switch. They're not doing that anymore. Now what they want to do, I do think they do want to increase NSO subscribers. But clearly they don't think this program's helping do that. So, you know, I asked this on one of my live streams the other day, like, hey, how many people, when this program is cut, the gold points, right? They cut it, are ending your NSO subscription? Almost nobody. Because most of us are subscribed for one of two reasons: to play games online or for the classic library. That's like the two big reasons that people are subscribed. So if you want to get more people to subscribe that don't care about those two things, you got to offer features they want. As an example, messaging friends. You lock that behind NSO. I think that's shitty to lock it behind a subscription service, but hey, right now we don't have it at all. People might pay for that to message their friends and set up play sessions. Voice chat, local voice chat. You can lock that behind there. And so many other features. Like, I'm just talking about like basic features other systems just have built into their core system. You could have something like PlayStation has, like a gameplay assist system. You can have something like that in play where you can hop into a friend's game and help them out if they're stuck in a level or something. So there's a lot of things they could do. I'm just throwing out ideas because these are things that already exist in the industry. But those are coming from platforms that have way more subscribers to their services than Nintendo does. So I just think Nintendo's being greedy. I think anyone who thinks otherwise, and this is no offense to anyone on this show that thinks otherwise, I think maybe making excuses for Nintendo might be a little bit of fanboyism coming out. And it's okay. I'm called a fanboy every day. So I am being critical of Nintendo, but I'm a fanboy. I just will say this, before I pass it off. I love Nintendo's stuff. They may have a lot of good stuff. I was buying their products before these programs exist. I'll buy them after, as long as they keep making games I want to play. And it sucks, and this is shitty. And I'm sorry if I'm right, and Nintendo is just being really corporate greedy right now. But we've seen PlayStation do it. We've seen Xbox do it. We've seen Nintendo do it. When you're on top of the world, you tend to make decisions to maximize revenue because you can. And I think in this case, if I am right, Nintendo will get away with it. And I say get away with it because when this story broke, the amount of people I saw that didn't even know these were things you could do.
Yes.
Like, it was kind of eye-opening because it's advertised on every physical copy. They advertise it on the eShop. Well, to be fair, advertising the eShop doesn't fucking matter because the eShop sucks ass. But it's on all the eShop cards you can buy at the store. Like, Nintendo put this gold point system in front of people very obviously, and people still didn't know. So if like a majority of people didn't know, in the end, it probably wasn't that effective in the first place. So that's why what I'm saying, like it's evil because they're maximizing money, but also it wasn't really that widely used. And Nintendo would know exactly how widely used it was because they would have all the statistics on the eShop for it. So
well, they know they're going to get more money from me now. I use vouchers all the time. I have one I still have one. I'm waiting for Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah,
but yeah, I buy a lot of digital. Like most of my stuff is digital. I have been buying physical, so now I double dip. So now they're gonna get these extra $10 from me, or $20, whatever it is, and then I also will buy the physical game. I disagree that they're not going to have something moving forward. It's weird that they are stopping the gold points for Switch 1, or they're stopping it just together. I'm assuming they're doing that because Switch 2 is backwards compatible, so they don't want you to like go to the Switch 1 eShop, get gold points, and
well, I think they're going to end up using the same eShop. They might be revamped like the application for it, but it's fully backwards compatible. So I kind of feel like the digital shop's going to be like the same.
Yeah,
so
I just don't
separate it out. I
just don't understand why they're stopping gold points, but they're not stopping vouchers for Switch 1. So I think the vouchers I think will come back, maybe not right away, but I think they'll come back at a higher price because the Switch 1 vouchers weren't there for like years. They and then they tested them for like a month, then they disappeared for another couple of years, and then they came back.
Yeah. Actually, what you said just made me think of something that I wasn't thinking about before. Because you said, why are they canceling the gold points and not the vouchers? Well, they're not canceling the platinum points, right? You'll still be able to use that even on Switch 2. I think it's the way the systems are set up. With the vouchers, not every single Nintendo first-party game counts for the vouchers. So the vouchers aren't set up as this automatic thing that applies to all games. So Nintendo can individually say, hey, when we release this game, no. They have like a checkbox or whatever. No, doesn't apply to the voucher. Can't use the voucher. But they can't do anything about the points because the points are literally built into NSO and built into the eShop. So the only way to stop gold points on Switch 2 is to get rid of it. So I think it's literally a Switch 2 decision. Like the only way to get rid of it is they have to disable it. They can't just keep it enabled for Switch 1 because they can't turn it off then at all for Switch 2. So that I wasn't even thinking about that until you brought it up, and I was like, oh, you know what? I bet you it's just how they built the system.
Yeah, that makes sense because platinum points aren't earned the same way. They're earned like through other apps or playing
missions
through the NSO app,
mobile
actually.
Games.
Yeah, mobile games. Fire Emblem. It's taking up a ton of space because one of those dumb NFTs. They better carry over. Those NFTs better carry over.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Josh, what about you?
So I asked this question on one of my shows. I'm like, how many of you guys know that you can press the plus button on your menu and get digital, like get the 60 cents from your physical purchase? And even those answers surprised me. They were like, what? A few people answered like, what? Like that's a thing. I think if you were buying digital all the time, like you were getting what? Wasn't it like $3? And then sometimes they would even do up to $6. They would double it up, right? Well, I mean, that could start to add up relatively quick. Like there's no question there. But I mean, the 60 cents, and I mean, there were definitely times that I would check mine and it was like up to $19 or something like that. And it was like, oh, okay, maybe I think I bought the DLC for Splatoon with just gold, gold coins. So I think it was useful. And my gut feeling is that it will get they will come up with some other program, I would assume. And I think I've mentioned it on this show before. I'm still holding out hope for Nintendo Selects or Player's Choice. And if the vouchers go up to 120, or let's see, no, if the vouchers for Switch 1 stay at 100, but they allow you to buy 3 games at basically that would typically be $40 a pop, that's going to move way more Switch 1 software digitally that way. But they may also if that was their plan, they may also want to limit the gold coins for stuff like that, because now you're giving, if your voucher works for 3 games, you're giving you
also get gold points for buying vouchers. So you pay $100 for the vouchers, but then you also get, I think it's 500 gold points, so you get $5. So you could get like $25 off, or if you do Tears of the Kingdom, it's $35.
Well, and then if you go to Costco and you get your eShop cards for 100 for 90, and then you're saving another 10. So you can really wheel and deal here. But so like I'm honestly really hoping that they lean into selling Switch 1 games in like like lowering the price, and because I think there's plenty of people that would go back and be like, yo, maybe I never picked up Wonder, or maybe I never picked up Odyssey, or whatever the case is.
I love that. I think that's a great idea.
And then what I think it also does, because we're getting Switch 2, I think they may end up leaning heavily into some sequels. I don't know about every game, and I don't know if, but let's say, I'm just going to use it as an example. I don't know that they would do it. I kind of hope they don't. I want to see something fresh, but they could say, hey, pick up Mario Odyssey 1 in the Player's Choice for 40, and then play the sequel Odyssey 2 when it comes out, in 2026 or whatever the case may be. And so I do wonder if there's some strategy there, like marketing strategy for them in that way, to just like lean into sequels a little bit more with it being Switch 1 to Switch 2, and keeping that family, the Switch family of systems or whatever they end up doing. So, but again, they may not worry about that. They may be so focused on new software that they're not that concerned about pushing old software. But it's one of those things. I think if they've not lowered their prices at all, if they finally did, especially digitally, it'd probably move units. You'd probably have people that buy mostly physical double dipping a little bit more because of the convenience of digital. So, and I also think that we're going to get to a point with digital that it has to change. The system that we currently have, where they treat digital like physical, where it's like you buy 1 copy of the game, you have 1 copy of the game. Like, if we start moving more into a digital world, it needs to follow the way music and movies have done, where it's like it's tied to an account, and maybe you can have multiple people sign into that account, or something along those lines, right? Like there's a lot of people that I hear say, I don't want to buy digital because my kids can't grab the game and then go put it in their Switch. And I think this generation, they've got to come up with like some family plans and some things like that are going to make that work a little bit differently. So NFL Blitz, I'm ready.
Yeah, this happens every week. So Audio Lisraela super chat come in. Bring back NFL Blitz and NBA Jam. It's a tradition at this point. He does $5 every week, begging for this to come back. It's tradition now. Keep the weekly tradition going till it happens. Right? Till it happens.
I'll let Jalen Hurts know. All right.
Josh, some really, really good points there. I gotta say, I actually never expected vouchers to be part of Switch 2, at least the first year or two. Yeah, is that the most consumer friendly thing? No. But let's be real, Switch 2 is going to be the hottest item in gaming this year, period. It's the big item. Everyone's going to be wanting to get the biggest and best games coming to Nintendo Switch 2. They're not going to need to, maybe bribe isn't the right word, but try and incentivize people to pick up a couple Switch 2 games. People are going to do it because Switch 2 is here, and hell yeah, let's go. Mario Kart, 3D Mario, maybe Splatoon or Fire Emblem this year. So I never expected that one to come. I do think the gold points is a big bummer. And yeah, I'm sure it didn't move the needle, but anytime you're paying for a service, it's nice to have some sort of reward, kind of like how Sony gives you, 3-4 free games every month. Each month, quality varies. Sometimes you get 3 pieces of crap. Sometimes you get a couple gems in there. Just having that reward is really nice. And I know Xbox does rewards as well. So I feel like the gold points are a pretty small reward, but the cost for the service is small. So yeah, it doesn't move the needle, but I think it's a nice thing to have. And I think it's really crappy and anti-consumer to take it away. Now, that being said, I think Nintendo, I do actually think Nintendo likely has some sort of replacement. I think there's going to be some big changes with NSO on Switch 2, whether it's some of those standard services you expect, like Nate mentioned earlier, messaging, built-in voice chat, whatever. But I do expect a little bit more, an extra Nintendo flair to be sprinkled in there. What I do think Nintendo is guilty of, and I think that this is a perfect example of, is bad messaging. Nintendo had every opportunity to actually make this announcement in the Switch 2 Direct and announce the new features or updates with NSO, but instead they just dropped bad news. And it's just a really weird thing to do, especially if there is some sort of replacement reward system, or maybe it's just a more feature rich and more dense service. There's not necessarily a tangible reward for your purchases, but you're getting all these bells and whistles that you didn't have before, Maybe the sacrifice led to the addition of themes and wallpapers and all sorts of like cool rewards. Maybe you buy a game, you get rewarded with a wallpaper for it. I don't know. I'm just saying, Nintendo, they do two things quite often. They have bad messaging that kind of leaves you scratching your head, and then they leave money on the table. And so we'll have to see. But with that, I want to hear your thoughts, Stash. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's unfortunate because obviously everyone likes to get a little bit of cash back, and there's really no programs anymore where you can save money when buying games. I'm sure a lot of us were signed up for that Best Buy Gamers Club.
That's where I pre-ordered Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure a lot of us probably stacked it as long as we could. Right. So, it's been a long time and there's just nothing really good out there that rewards loyalty. And it was nice that Nintendo did that and they had it built in. And again, as you mentioned with the physical game cards, yeah, you know what? It's funny. I would say, God, I don't know what percentage I'd put on it, but at least 75%, maybe more. Had no idea that you could get gold coins by pressing the plus button, which
so
is funny.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's so wild to me. Yeah.
So if you think about it, a lot of fans left money on the table. A lot, which I'm sure Nintendo liked.
It's weird. It's weird because when you purchase something in the eShop too, it doesn't have your gold coins at the bottom. It's actually above choosing to pay with your card or the money that you already have loaded. It's like the top option.
Yeah.
You also have to click it to go check. Like it doesn't just show you.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yep.
the physical reward only like 30 cents though?
Is 60 cents. Yeah.
60. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely, it's not great. You could probably find that on the ground if you looked hard enough each day. But still, it's something, you know what I mean? It's something. Now let's kind of talk about, I guess, if we think there's going to be a new program. And I was kind of thinking about that, right? Because usually when you get something taken away, when a company takes something away, usually don't get it back, right? When anything's taken away, you usually don't get it back. But I was thinking
Yep.
about it, and it's like, I feel like it will come back, but it's going to be in a little bit. Because I think you need to get enough Switch 2 first party games out the door before you can bring it back. Because it's going to be brought back for Switch 2. Like it's gonna be completely separate. I think Nate kind of mentioned that, but if you're going to be releasing a bunch of $70 games, hypothetically, right? Then it needs to come back at a different price point, and you need to have enough games to actually, make it make sense. If there's only a couple first party games, they might want to wait a little bit down the line to actually relaunch this program. So again, I could see it coming a few years into Switch 2, maybe 2 or 3 years in. Or any time these sales start to slow, they have that in their back pocket to use again. And obviously it'll be a different price. You know what I mean? Like people were able to take advantage of Tears of the Kingdom in another game to be able to get a really good deal where they're saving $30. And then Josh, as you mentioned, I already do this. I always do this. I don't load up, my debit card on any of the shops. Like I won't just go on there and buy something. If I want something, I go to Costco first and I paid $90 for $100. You do that on PlayStation, you do it on Nintendo. Always. Why wouldn't I? I'm saving 10% every time. So anyone who has a Costco membership, I implore you, you should do that. Don't just buy with your debit card. Save 10%. That way you're saving even more.
You're saving with gas prices.
Yeah.
Depending on how far away the Costco is.
Oh no, it's digital.
Oh,
It's digital. Yeah.
They email it to you within like 5 minutes. So just wait 5 minutes for the code to come in and do it that way. You save 10% on everything. Yeah. So again, total steal right there. So in case anyone wants to do that, you should do that. So I think that'll come back later. As far, as the vouchers, let's say it doesn't come back, right? That was a nice benefit of the NSO. Do you think that factors into anything with the NSO's price? Like they're taking away a benefit? Do you think they take away and then also say, oh, and by the way, we're going to charge more per year for NSO if they're taking away benefits? Because if you would have asked me last week and we talked about this, I would have expected the NSO to go up in price a little bit with the Switch 2. We're probably going to get some new stuff. But if they're taking away savings benefits, now I have to ask that question again. Is it going to stay the same price or does it still go up? They want more money and they're taking stuff away. What do you guys think?
It's definitely going up. Like there's no doubt in my mind. I don't know if it's going to go up for like Nintendo Switch Online expansion, what they have now. They're going to have another tier. It's going to be like expansion pack plus. And that's where you're going to get another, maybe you get the GameCube games, but it's another $30 a year or something like that. But I don't think they could keep it the same price moving forward into the new generation.
So I think they will keep the same price for now. I think during the Switch 2 generation there will be a price increase, but I don't think I don't think the price going up or down has anything to do with these cup features because, again, I'm of full belief they're going to add more features to NSO, features that people really want, and maybe even some stuff we're not even expecting. So with that thought process, why wouldn't they increase the price if they're going to add a bunch more features, or even GameCube NSO and other stuff they can end up adding? I think it's because Nintendo has one goal at the moment: find a way to get from 34 million to 40 million, 40 million to 50 million. And increasing price is generally not a way to increase your subscriber count. So if the goal is just, hey, we've got 200 million Nintendo accounts between phones and our local system, we sold 150 million units, why the hell don't we have 100 million people subscribed? I think they're trying to get up there. And then once they cross like the 50, 60 million mark, assuming that they do that is an assumption, I think that's when you're going to start seeing, okay, now we're going to mess with the pricing a little bit, because PlayStation and Xbox do it, but PlayStation and Xbox are both over 60 million subs. PlayStation's over 100 million. Their subs don't really change no matter what they do. So yeah, they can increase the price and just make more money off those subs. So why wouldn't they do it? So I think that so that's what happens with the Netflix. That's all these, they already have their subs. Let's increase the price. Or if you're Disney Plus, you're kind of floundering on subs, so you're increasing the price with the ones you do have, hoping you can make up the difference. This is Nintendo's first ever subscription service, and it is extremely cheap, especially if you're an individual member. I mean, the best deal is the family membership, of course. You get 8 friends together, because it can be anyone across the whole world. You got 8 adult friends together, split the cost. It's $10 a person for a year. That's great. That's actually super cheap. But even for one individual person, $20, it's really cheap, especially compared to everybody else. But Nintendo also offers less than everybody else. So I think it's one of those things where I fully believe Nintendo's focus is on the number. Get the number higher. Then we'll focus on maybe increasing price points. But I could be wrong, by the way. Totally wrong.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that one. Just because I feel like the way to get that number higher is to build a much more feature-rich and dense service. Obviously, you mentioned Switch Online is way cheaper, offers a lot less stuff. I don't know that adding a bunch of stuff and keeping it the same price, and then down the road, maybe a year or two later, then we up it. I don't know. I feel like they rip off the Band-Aid quickly and be like, hey, but you're getting this, all the things that you never had before. This is why. This is what's allowing us to do that. And you know what? I'd gladly pay more to have built-in voice chat and friend messaging and all those bells and whistles that you get everywhere else.
I'll be honest. The only reason I pay for like Xbox or PSN or Nintendo is because I have to play online. So they can increase the price. I'm still going to pay it. It has to be absolutely at a pretty astronomical price where I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm sticking with PC only for online, because that's where you don't have to pay.
But so people like us aren't the ones that they're worried about losing.
Yeah, we're the people that like we're going to pay it because we want to play online. Like that's they got to convince people who maybe don't care so much about that.
I mean, if it's fully feature rich and they up the price $25 annually, I think they could still move the needle. I think the reason why numbers are lower is because it just, like, if you don't care about playing retro games, which a lot of younger gamers don't care about, what's the need other than that minimum requirement to be able to play, I don't know, Fortnite with your friends or a game online? And again, a lot of kids would rather play that on another platform because they can chat right, out of their console. They don't need a cell phone.
You can voice chat on your Switch and Fortnite. I know, because me and my family do it all the time.
Okay. I don't play Fortnite, so that was the giveaway.
Not on Bluetooth, unfortunately.
Yeah, Fortnite does it. Yeah, well, that's the Bluetooth problem. Anyways,
poor example, Mario Kart. Let's just
there you go. Yeah, that's Nintendo. Yep, you can't do that.
Or Smash Bros. Yeah.
So I think that when you're looking at the future of that NSO, like I can see the Band-Aid ripoff point. I also, we got to remind ourselves, guys, this is Nintendo's first. Switch was the first generation having this service. The other two built it up over like 3 generations. mean, Xbox built
It also
up.
wasn't there day one. It didn't come in until
Yeah, it didn't come until 2018, which
Splatoon
actually
2?
felt worse. Here's your free online for 18 months. Oh, now you got to pay. Yeah, I know you warned me before the system came out that this was going to happen. Still didn't feel good. Still didn't feel good. September of 2018 still didn't feel great. Right before Smash is coming out. Now I got to pay for online. But it was whatever because it was so cheap. I'm like, look, guys, I don't actually ever believe that we should have to pay online when we already have to pay to be online. I already don't really agree with it, but it's fine. It's whatever.
They already got us used to it. So.
Yeah, they got us used to it.
It's already the standard, so it's like
So ripping the
it's always how it is. They always dip. The companies always dip their toes once we get done complaining.
Yeah,
now they dip their toes again with something
possible
else.
The stagnation the last few years and the growth is because most of the sales are just people replacing their old Switch with a new Switch, and that could be what a lot of the sales have been. Finally upgrading from a Lite to an OLED, or your OG Switch is finally kicking the bucket. Like my Yulia's has my original Switch, and like the micro SD card slot doesn't work anymore. The screen is dying. Batteries expanding. People go, oh, let me get a new one and upgrade. So I feel like that could also just be they're not hitting on a newer audience anymore, and so that's why the growth stopped. And that could change with Switch 2. Again, everyone else has been growing this for 3 or 4 generations.
We're making Eric sick right now.
Hey, let me ask you guys.
Eric is he's sick of me. He's so sick of me. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I got a tickle in the back of my throat and I just can't stop coughing. No, I don't understand.
Do you have anything to drink, buddy?
Sorry.
No, I do not.
That was me.
You got any some Werthers lying around, or some Ludens, wild cherry
Some
cough drops?
Werthers.
He just needs I think he just needs something to drink. I get a tickle sometimes. That's what you have your water and stuff for. But anyways.
Yeah.
I love that you dropped Werthers. I had a buddy. We went to like CVS or something to pick up some snacks or candy.
Yeah.
And one dude really wanted the Werthers, and this dude roasted him for like 30 minutes, about his age. Like, dude, what the hell, Werthers? And then he totally had one, and it was his favorite friggin' snack after that, where he was just buying Werthers every week.
Dude, that's so funny. So I have like a glass candy jar, like a tray, that was like my grandparents, and I have it, like on the kitchen counter, and it's always full of Werthers. And if I go somewhere, like, I always have like a Werther's in my jacket pocket. Always.
I just need
I know it's for old people. I love it.
No, I just need the
Werthers are awesome.
Those strawberry candies that Grandma always has.
Yeah, the ones that we don't know the name of.
I found them. I just still don't remember the name of it after I found what they were. But I'm like, dude, those things are so good. Anyways,
let me ask you guys one thing real quick about the date. Do you think the effective date has any sort of bearing on anything? Like it seems, I don't know, somewhat abrupt. It's ending in a little over a month, but you think there's a reason why? Is there something happening in April?
Yeah, the Switch.
Maybe some.
Well, I know maybe the reveal, but like, why would you take it away now?
Well, if Nintendo Switch Online is carrying over to Switch 2,
it is.
Maybe it's possible that there's going to be a NSO update on April 2nd. That's going to already trickle in some new features.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
I mean, I think that's a possibility that there could be something, especially if it's along the lines of people being able to pre-order via NSO. And
yeah, that's what I was going to get at. So let me ask you guys this, because I've never pre-ordered like a game digitally on Nintendo's website, but say April 2nd Direct comes and pre-orders open, would you be able to go to Nintendo's website then and pre-order a Switch 2 game digitally? Like on the 2nd? Because in that case, it would make sense that they do it now, a week before, like on the 24th. So essentially about a little over a week before Switch 2 is announced, because then you'd get gold coins for your Switch 2 pre-order games, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I don't know if they're gonna put Switch 2 games on the eShop on April 2nd to pre-order, because people might not have a Switch 2. Like they might not be able to get a pre-order of Switch 2, so you're pre-ordering a game you can't even use.
I agree.
People from buying.
So I
Breath of
don't
the
think
Wild.
I don't think they're going to do that. Now, physical pre-orders will be available. Of course, they will be. Because again, hey, you can cancel that willy-nilly, no problem. Because if you didn't get a Switch 2 pre-order or whatever. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I think it's more so they don't want people to even think about the vouchers or the gold points when they're talking about Switch 2, because they're not going to be there. So once they do the Switch 2 stuff, it's like, hey, we don't even want you bringing this stuff up or even thinking you're going to get this stuff. We want to distract you with all the cool stuff we're doing. Forget about the old Switch stuff. We're good. We're good there. We're now on to Switch 2, and this isn't there. And I think that's literally all it is just getting rid of the expectation
Yeah.
that
Change
when
the
they
mindset.
announce, especially when they do things like announce, oh, hey, the games are 70. Some people might go, ooh, that's going to be good for gold points. No, it's not. You don't get those. Get rid of the expectation. So almost like a ripping the Band-Aid off before you actually reveal what things cost and what everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, Nintendo's guilty of bad messaging here. I feel like they should have just announced that things are changing when everyone's pumped up on. Dude, no one's going to care about gold points when they see all the sick games coming to Switch 2. Like everyone's going to be talking about the good stuff.
Good to tell you right now, our podcast that's also on April 2nd. Convenient how that lined up. Thank you, Nintendo.
Get right.
I appreciate that. You just guaranteed a killer podcast that day. I don't believe gold points was ever going to be a conversation that night.
No.
I don't think that was even going to come up.
Yep. Yeah, it was just weird.
The other thing with the vouchers, we know we're going to continue for a little while. Gold coins. And Gamebird, you kept saying if they add something, I think the simple add is Switch 1 games.
Absolutely.
And the way I foresee Nintendo doing it would be, hey, try Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Splatoon 2 for this quarter. And then if you want to purchase them after that at a discounted price because you're this tier of member, maybe that's how they do it. And then they just kind of start rotating Switch 1 games in NSO. I think that also moves some NSO subscriptions as well, because it's like now you've got full on, right now we have DLC that's available, and then a couple you got F-Zero 99 and Tetris 99 and whatnot, but to add full Switch games into that subscription service, I think it would be, I think that would help move the needle some. And the other thing that's funny, I play with so many younger, a lot of the younger generation who they're still living at home. Their parents will let their NSO lapse all the time. They'll be like, I can't play with you, and I can't convince my parents to get another, to re-up on this. So that's all, that's also an issue when you're talking about buying a system for younger kids, and then parents that are relatively clueless or don't care. What do I need I need to give you another $20 for what? Or another $35 for what? So anyway.
I actually really love that. I think that's a fantastic idea. I don't ever expect Nintendo to just do the PlayStation Plus thing of this game is yours as long as you're a subscriber, because Nintendo games are generally evergreen titles that just keep selling and selling and selling.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Sony, it's a great incentive because they don't really have that luxury with a lot of their games or third parties. So it's a good incentive to keep people subscribed. However, PlayStation Network does if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you get those PS Plus discounts. Sometimes they're $10, sometimes they're $15, $20 discounts.
Yeah.
That would be sick, because I know there's a lot of Nintendo games that people may have just skipped, that they're like interested but not that interested, and Nintendo games rarely ever go on sale. But hey, if I have this service, every couple months there's like a new set of 5 games or 4 games that are $10-15 off. Maybe I'll dip my toes this time. Me personally, I never picked up, and I play a lot of Nintendo games, I never picked up the new Mario and Luigi. I know it had kind of lukewarm reception, but if they put it on NSO and gave it a $15 discount, I'd totally pick it up and give it a whirl.
PlayStation also has like their top tier. Like they have, I don't know how many tiers they have. They have at least 3. They have like the basic, where you don't get anything outside of the free games a month, and then some discounts. Then they have like a I forget what it was.
PlayStation Plus Extra.
Yeah, Plus Extra, where you get access to their game library, which is kind of like Game Pass. It doesn't have all of their first party titles on there, but it has a lot of them. And then they also have another tier that gives you access to all the classic games in their library. So if Nintendo would do something like that, add another tier where you have access to like all of the Switch 1 library, or at least, a lot of the older titles, like I think that would do really well, because Odyssey's like 8 years old at this point, so some people haven't played it.
What if they... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Stash.
I was just going to say PlayStation Plus Premium and is what you're talking about. And one thing that is really cool about Premium is the beta testing. There's a lot of beta testing that you can take part in. Like I got to play Monster Hunter Wilds on the first beta, and I played it, just recently on the second.
Did you though?
Huh?
Because that was when PlayStation Network was down.
Oh, what's funny? I was wrapping up my review for Guns of Fury on Switch that day, and I was just locked in, and I got on Twitter later, and I saw the hysteria with PlayStation Network being down. I'm like, oh man, I'm glad I was playing Switch all day. Like, what are the odds of that? That
was the weekend of the open beta for Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it was the first day, and so yeah, I'm glad I didn't play it that day. I ended up playing it Saturday. And at any rate, that's one thing I do think is really cool. And then Gamebird, as you mentioned, the PlayStation Plus extra discounts. I've taken advantage of that plenty of times. Basically what I'll do is like, if I already know I have a backlog, which, I'm going to die one day with a backlog. I'm sure all of us are. I'm never going to get through it. We know that. And that's part of accepting, right? But there's always these games, right, that you want to play, but I'm not going to buy it right now because I have so many others to play, but I'm going to add it to my wish list. And that's what I always do. When you do that, then you'll get a notification when the game goes on sale. Like they'll give you a direct notification on your PlayStation. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a PlayStation Plus extra discount where a game that was like $20, $30 I can get now for like $5. It's stupid.
Yep.
So if Nintendo did something like that, that would be a huge benefit. And Josh, you mentioned the Switch 1 games. And I know we talked about that on your podcast too. And one thing that I think would be really interesting too is that if we factor in the idea, the speculation we've had of our first party games, our select first party games going to get some sort of performance upgrade. Because then the value on something like that really, really increases. Like if I can play a game at 60 FPS now, or better resolution, now we're talking. So it'll be really interesting to see what Nintendo does. Again, I hope they don't leave any money on the table.
Yeah. I've got a question for you guys. We were talking about pricing on this and whether or not we think Nintendo is going to up the price. What about the possibility of merging the base NSO with the expansion pass into one tier, and it costs the price of NSO with the expansion pass, and then they add a second tier that's more premium, and that has the reward system. Maybe it's those discounts that we talked about, Stash, like PSN. But what if they just merged NSO plus expansion pack into one tier?
I mean, I think it's a really good deal for NSO and for expansion pack. But there are, it seems, a lot of people that think expansion pack is quite expensive and not a good deal. Like I've seen that sentiment throughout the internet. So it's like, if you merge them, then what is it, $50 everyone's got to pay just for a single membership? A family one is what, 80? So yeah, you increase that,
and they add GameCube in there.
you increase that entry bar. I don't know if that'll be good. I like the idea of 3 tiers. I mean,
You like the
PlayStation's
3
doing
tiers.
it.
Okay.
I think you got to be really careful with the way you word it, because, for instance, Xbox, when they did their last tier changes and the pricing changes, it was very confusing for a majority of the internet. Like, there was literally podcasts that got it wrong, and I think IGN got it wrong, and like you really had to go back and look at it very closely. So we want to make sure that if you're going to do something like that, obviously, again, back to communication. We need to have crystal clear communication on this,
which Nintendo struggles with sometimes. And I do remember when the 3 tiers for Sony first were revealed, a lot of people thought it was kind of bogus. A lot of people thought that this isn't worth it, especially like in the beginning when it was, limited titles announced. Just left people being like, this service sucks. This is a waste of money and overpriced. So I do worry about the 3 tier. I don't think there's any one size fits all solution, but I do wonder if the 3 tier system complicates it. But I do hear you. People are going to be upset if they increase the price of entry, I suppose. But I don't know.
I have been talking a lot about accessories and stuff, as probably all have, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the ways they really move NSO is not only everybody's excited to see GameCube make its way, DS, but I would like to see them take it all the way to Wii and sell the Wii remote and the nunchuck just like they do the NES controller and the SNES controller. And you talk about a nostalgia driven generation that's younger than all of us on this show. Like, I honestly think that would move the needle more than anything. Speak
for yourself.
All right. But I do think that like the kids that grew up with Wii, which is a lot of them, right? We know how well the Wii sold. You tell them that, hey, you sign up for this tier of NSO, you're going to get Wii games, and you can also purchase a Wii remote and a nunchuck to play those games exactly the way you used to. I mean, I literally was using my NES controller today to play Mario Brothers. So, like, I think, and it would just be fun. We also need a really good wireless GameCube controller, and I don't know if it'll be the Wavebird because we all know about the
bring the
issues,
Wavebird back.
Yeah,
please, for the love of God, it's the coolest.
It's the best.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would love to see them really lean into like the next generation, if you will, of like GameCube, Wii, DS, 3DS. Like, get those on NSO. Get accessories out for those, and I think we'd see more subscribers that way.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the Wii is going to be 20 years old next year.
So
My
jacked
God.
up.
What's
so sick?
Yeah, I was just
Hear
thinking
that?
about it. I'm like, holy shit. That's
so
wild.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
perfect
would
time
be
for
such
It,
a
exactly.
massive win. Honestly, I think it would be such a massive win. You're right. You know, before the Switch 2, the most successful home console from Nintendo, an incredible library of games. The Wii gets teased a lot for all the shovelware that it had, but
Sure.
man, there was a lot of good games, a lot of good third-party stuff, games that I've been begging for to get remastered, stuff like Mad World or the whatchamacallit, I'm brain dead. Zack Wiki from Capcom. Just a lot of cool stuff. The Wario Land Shake It. So many rad games on that console. And, you know, online gaming was exploding at the time. Nintendo kind of opted out of that. Getting those games with the kind of like HD upscale with added online features like they've been doing with NES and SNES and 64. Oh man, that'd be super cool.
Oh,
I just got WarioWare Shake It, and because I've been playing WarioWare, or not WarioWare, I guess it's Wario Land. It's made by Goodfeel, and I want them to stop making Yoshi games, little baby Yoshi games, and make Wario Land games.
Yeah, that game's amazing.
Following up with that, I mean, Mario Kart Wii gets put on NSO, and you're gonna have a stampede of
we still don't have Smash
up.
Bros. 64 on NSO.
I know,
what is happening?
I know it's a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs, but yeah, I mean, there's a handful of Wii titles that, like, you know, you would see people be very excited to be able, and especially to bring online back to these titles that lost it at one point. Like, now the question is, do they actually bring their online back, or do they still only make it to where, you know, because you could play Mario Kart Wii with 8 players or 12 players, whatever it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but like, if it's only the way NSO has been, you could only play with up to 4 players. Still great, but hopefully they would think about that going forward with these games that did have, like, because I want to play Mario Kart DS with maximum number of people, you know, not just well, that would be different because you could do that. That online was a little bit different as well. So, you know, we just have to wait and see. But
Double Dash had online too.
Exactly. No, well, it had the LAN.
They had the broadband.
Right?
They didn't have the broadband.
It was only used for LAN. Like you couldn't go online with it. So it'd be the first time that would be online. And I think that was up to 16 players.
I was totally hoping Eric was going to turn off his camera too, so it was just a guest.
I know, everybody's disappearing.
I was like, "Come on, Eric, do it, turn it off."
Yeah,
you just sat there and smiled. You ruined it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It just one stash left. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's only 2 of us. Let's all bounce."
It's our show now.
Yeah. One thing that I think could be added to NSO that could make it really interesting would be like a demo tier where all first parties automatically get a demo on that, whether it's the first little bit of the game or whatever they want to do. And if third parties want to throw something on there too, they definitely could. Because that way, again, it answers your question. Do I actually want to buy this game? I mean, what's the best way to decide if you want to buy this game or not than to play it? I mean, you can generally get a pretty decent feel from a demo if you want to purchase the game or not. But you know, as for like the gold coins and the what the hell is the vouchers? That's what I was looking for. I think eventually they'll replace the gold coins with something. But with vouchers, what I can see them doing is actually revamping the box art of Switch 1 games to show that they are voucher eligible, and they're actually going to start pushing those real hard for people who don't have, you know, a Switch at all, but they're coming into Switch 2. Hey, you know, start building up your catalog with these games here. You know, you'll get a decent discount, you know, blah, 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 blah. Here, go pick these up, you know, so you can start building your catalog and things like that. So I think that could be a good way for them to start, you know, pushing games, you know, for people who've never bought a Switch, things like that, you know, when they jump into Switch 2.
And I mean, they could set up a tier for just hentai based on the way the eShop looks now,
yeah.
and just make that free to play for everybody.
Yeah, let me see your what do you buy on your Switch recently,
And they'd
Josh?
increase,
Huh?
yeah, they'd increase their subscribers too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
I like that.
Panty party? How's that going for you?
Hey! I didn't buy that. That was Nate. Shout out to Nate Nay in the chat. So
That was my nickname
Oh,
in college.
Anti party. Oh, what the hell, guys? What is going on in this chat right now? Anyway,
Yeah. Hey, you want my camera?
no.
You guys said cuss words, so I thought it was okay to say panty party.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh, we encourage you
I
to
mean,
say panty
you're not
party.
fucking wrong.
Oh,
Panty
shoot.
party, panty party, panty party, panty party.
There
Ah,
you go. This episode of Nintenbyte podcast is brought to you by Panty Party. So, Panty Party 3, the sequel.
do you guys know what this game is? By the way, you literally play as a pair of panties with weapons.
yes, I know what it is. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. So I wish I didn't know what it was, but when your community likes to troll you, I literally have an account on my Switch that says N64 Troll, and it's loaded with games like Mom Simulator 2024 and
What? Is that real?
Yes, and Prison Simulator Gangster Paradise
I did see that.
2024 or one of the, it's the strangest name ever. So
Yeah,
and
the eShop's a dark place, but you can find some weird stuff on there.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen I don't know if it's like the bum simulator or homeless simulator. Have you guys seen that?
Where you
No.
just
Like-
fight.
Yeah, like no joke. You have to find like places to sleep at night, and like you'll constantly get kicked out of where you're at. You have to move somewhere else, and you'll get in fights with civilians. I'm like, what is this? I can't believe this is real. Yeah, wild. I saw something about it on Twitter. I'm like, no way. I gotta do a Google search, see if this is real. And then sure enough it was. I watched a video of someone playing it on YouTube, and I was just shaking my head laughing, like, oh my God, this is nuts.
It was N64, Josh.
Yeah, it was definitely N64, Josh.
More than likely. Yeah. If you see me playing Vroom in the Night Sky, you know that that is my community.
I mean, I checked your profile the other day, and it was like your most played game, Panty Party.
Here we go. There's no way. It's Mario Kart. Or were you checking N64 Troll? Because maybe.
Mario.
No, N64 Josh, it was like 3,000 hours. I don't understand how you could even do that.
Yeah, that and Galgun, just been going down.
Oh, geez, guys.
Oh my God.